everybody. For tonight's FT Learn, I want to talk to you about the importance of digital collaboration, especially as things start to go forward. Our students might start to feel a little bit more isolated, and allowing them opportunities to collaborate digitally and especially using video conferencing tools might be the thing that they need. One of the things I want you to start thinking about as we move, especially into next week, is making it a goal to see all of your students' faces in some way, be it through Teams or video. Just having that check-in with them and showing them you care is going to be really important for their mental health and I think for yours. So I've got two big ideas for you that I'm going to share tonight, and we're going to look at how you can use Teams to accomplish that. And then we'll also look at how you can maybe do some project-based assignments that you typically would do in your class with group work, how you can move that online and make it really effective. Okay, so first I want to talk about collaboration in Teams. And for those of you who haven't done this yet, I think it would be important to start with 4 students at a time. And this is because you can only see 4 students at a time when you're in a meet, and they would be able to see you in a smaller screen or themselves. So you can technically do 5 and see all of everyone's face. That is going to give you then the ability to do things like model appropriate use and behavior, especially for our younger students who might be super excited to see each other because they haven't seen each other in a while. They are going to be really silly. So you want to give them a chance to get the silly out. And then you as the teacher with that smaller group can model for them how they should behave, how they should act professional or act just like they're in a classroom setting, even though it might be just kind of a different thing for them. You also want to discuss the expectations for use. Parents rule. And if parents are saying, I haven't given my child a phone, I don't want them contacting outside people, that kind of thing, you have to reiterate for the students that this is for learning. It's not for them to be on at 1 a.m. talking to, the 10-year-old that lives down the street. This is for them to use to communicate with their teacher, and it's for them to utilize to communicate with each other for projects, not for socializing, unless their parents are okay with that. And we might get to a point where the parents want their children to talk to each other. Okay, another thing that you're going to want to do in that small group meeting is allow them to practice the tools. The kids are going to need to know how to do things like turn on and off their camera and turn on and off their sound to mute themselves. That's really important in group collaboration, is knowing that you need to stay muted unless you're expected to speak. Otherwise, everybody's talking all at once. The other thing you're going to want to explain to them in that small group setting is that whoever talked last is the person who shows up on the screen. That might be stressful for some kids to think like, I can't see myself. Nobody can see me. I'm still not being seen, and right now it's going to be important for them to feel like they're being seen and to understand why maybe they're not. So you want to help them practice those different tools that will make them feel comfortable when you do it with a larger group, hopefully. And the other thing you would want to go over with them is the chat feature and what you expect in the chat feature. On an iPad, it takes them to a completely different screen. On a laptop, the students can see the chat right next to it, but they should be chatting like they would in class with appropriate language and not a lot of emojis and exclamation points, so practice using more of a professional approach to the chat feature, which is something that would be very foreign to students who are used to text message, and it looks a lot like text message. So start small with a small group, and then hopefully you can build up to a larger group. So some ideas that I have for this is that maybe with your primary age students, you can encourage them to do in a small group a show and tell. You could do a reading group with a small group. You could have them interview each other. For our older students, as that introductory thing, you might just do a small group discussion or do something a little silly and play a game like headbands where everybody puts it on their phone and, shows and you're guessing. So just kind of lighten the mood a little bit for your first meeting, and then branch out and add more students as you feel comfortable and as they feel comfortable. And having that face-to-face time, it sounds silly to call it face-to-face time, but that's really going to be critical coming up next week as students start to feel that pressure of being alone more. All right, so next I want to talk to you about how you can assign a group project just like you would in class. And this group project part will actually take some of the pressure off of you of planning every day, because you can allow students multiple days for your class to work on this project collaboratively. And there are lots of tools that are going to allow them to do this. So one of the first strategies that I really like when doing a group project is using an interactive notebook. So here's an example of one that really is focused on design thinking, and I will drop a link to this in the description of the notes. And what this does is it allows you to give students a challenge, group challenge to face. They can think about why they're doing the project, design some empathy. They could use a design sprint, set a timer, run through some ideas, and then this is where they can collaboratively talk through the information with their group. One thing that would be important to have in a collaborative notebook like this is you want to set up some expectations, like where the student group is going to identify what steps they're going to use to do the project. They're going to identify who their teammates are and what role, and the expectation for that. So just having a slide like that is going to help keep the group on track. Now the rest of it is all just kind of general planning for having what are your main points going to be, storyboarding, just things like that. So this is really generic. It can be adapted to a lot of different projects, or you could just steal some of the slides out of here and create your own. Then what you're going to do to assign this is you are going to go to Schoology, and for each of the small groups, you're going to give a team lead, and you're going to assign that to just the team lead. So you'll go to Add Materials, Add Assignment, name it, and then you'll have uploaded that template that they're going to work out of either to Google Drive or Microsoft, depending on what you're working on. And when you go to your Google Drive, you are going to grab that and attach it. Do your due date, category, all of that you would ordinarily do. Okay, and then you're going to touch on this individually assign, and this is where you are just going to assign it to the team leads, and you can type in just their names, and then you'll press create. So that's assigning it to the team leads. Then the students, the team lead, once they open the document, are going to go to the share button, and they're going to type in the emails of their group mates and share it with them, so that you as the teacher are checking in on maybe 5 project decks and seeing the work that the students are doing. So when they are working online, one thing you might want to do is assign them a slide within there so you can see their individual contributions, or you might request that they use a different color per student so that you can identify the different contributions. Because obviously you don't want somebody sitting at home doing the whole project themselves. You want to see who is doing what, and if they have their own slide or if they have their own color, that makes it a little bit easier for you as the teacher to check out. Now, if the students are working on, say, a video together, our students are, of course, used to airdropping each other back and forth parts that they might need, but you can use Teams for this. So I'm going to pop open Teams, and inside of a team, students could create a group for their group, a team for their group, and you could be part of that. And they could chat back and forth in here about what they're going to do. And then they can also post files. So if they are making a group video, or they need to share documents back and forth, they could obviously share documents in a shared folder on Google Drive, or they can just come here to this little link and they could upload from their computer or their iPad. And then all of those files will appear in this files section, and they have the option on both the iPad and the computer to download that and then use it to assemble any kind of group project that they have. So that would be a really good way for them to work together and share back and forth, so that one student isn't doing the whole thing. So really we're using Teams for a lot today. you're using Teams to check in with your students face to face, and then open up that option for them to collaborate just like they would in your class, except they're doing it from their own homes where they are being safe and hopefully washing their hands and all of that. So those are just two ideas for how to collaborate. I'd love to hear more about what you're doing and how you might try this. If you have questions, give me a shout. I'm here to help.